Back at another YouTube video, it's your boy Ryan G. Today we're gonna react to the worst movies in every major horror franchise. We're gonna react to the worst movies in every major horror franchise. I'm gonna make sure to put the link in the description in the link. Let's get right into the video.
Throughout history in some of the greatest horror franchises, we've all talked about some of our favorite horror movies. From the Halloween franchise, you have the original. A lot of people love part 2, 4, with Friday the 13th. A lot of people like part 2 through 4. A lot of people love 6. With Nightmare, a lot of people love Dream Warriors, and so on and so forth. But one thing that nobody ever really talks about is the worst movies in those horror franchises. If you like what you see here, go ahead and subscribe to your boy. We're on the road to 10K subs. Stay tuned because we're about to cover the worst. It's going on franchise, the Halloween. Say Halloween Ends. Some people will say Halloween Resurrection. Some people might say Halloween 5 or Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers. You just honestly never know. But the one who actually has the place for the worst Halloween movie, in my opinion, is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I feel like...
What's the worst horror movie franchise in y'all opinion?
There's pretty much nothing good about this movie at all. With this movie, it abandoned so much of that suspense that we have come to know and love in this franchise. It's just much more grounded suspense, but they replaced that in favor of having surreal hallucinations, symbolism with a white horse, which pretty much has divided audiences. In Rob Zombie's horror movies in general, it's already like this, but specifically with this movie is just way too gritty, way too nihilistic, and there's little to no emotional payoff at the end. Laurie Strode's characterization is completely different. One of the biggest problems with it is Michael himself. He moves from this sleek, silent shape that we've come to know and love, and now he's just basically like a wandering drifter, hobo-looking dude. I mean, that's just what he has come down to, and all of that pretty much completely removes his mystique. This movie is just a perfect example of basically doing everything wrong. Now we're talking about the Friday the 13th.
And that's supposed to be a Rob Zombie movie?
13th franchise. The worst movie in this franchise by far to me is Jason X. I know a lot of people will probably say Jason Goes to Hell, but as horrible as Jason Goes to Hell is, I actually enjoy it. I mean, sue me. Yeah, Jason X is just, nothing about it is overly appealing in my opinion. The space setting by itself is just overly gimmicky and it really removed the film from, the whole camp counselor roots and camping, that whole feel of what made the Friday the 13th movies great in the first place. So you remove that whole setting and you have this space setting. You have over-the-top sci-fi elements like Uber Jason. So not only do you have Jason in space in this movie, but then that version of Jason that we know basically dies and they turn him into a souped-up version of himself. I mean, that definitely doesn't do this movie any favors. All of the characters...
I don't think I've sat and watched a full Jason movie. Now I do know he'll beat Freddy because they fought each other and he won. Jason won. Though I feel Freddy was scarier than Jason. Jason will beat Freddy.
Characters are underdeveloped and you don't care for them not one bit. CGI effects haven't aged well and they continue to get weak by the year. And like I said, it just lacks that grounded brutality that made the franchise great in its own right. When he puts the lady's head in the sink and freezes and then he smashes her head on the counter, that was pretty good. I mean, that's probably one of the best kills in all of the franchise. Outside of that, it's dog shit. Now we're talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. The worst movie in this franchise, and I don't even think it's close and I don't even think it's up for debate at all, is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Everything about this movie also isn't good. I would say that I'm a fan of Freddy and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Find some level of enjoyment in all of them, except this movie. This movie bites, bro. I really don't even know how else to put it. Excessively cartoonish. Dream sequences were way too comedic and it really takes you out of the vibe. Recipe for...
He does have a lot of films. The actor that played the original actor did a phenomenal job playing, the character in general through all the years playing the character. But yeah, this franchise definitely has a lot of movies to it, just like the Jason thing.
or a horrible movie. That's the best way I can put it. The next franchise that we're talking about is the Child's Play franchise. This is also another franchise that I love. I love almost all of the movies in this, but there are a couple of weak ones.
All right, we're gonna skip this one because I don't know too much about that. Oh, he better talk about Scream now. I don't know too much about Scream either, but we'll talk about Scream. That's fine.
Begins to take away from the movie. You're starting to notice a recurring theme with a lot of these movies that I'm saying are the worst in their particular franchises, and it's because they remove the roots and the things that made it really grounded in terms of its own individual realism. It seems like we're just doing stuff just to be doing stuff, and this movie is a prime example. You retcon Sydney's backstory. It's less sharp commentary than all of the rest of the movies. It's definitely way more slapstick than
Wait, which one is this? Cause hold on.
Realism. It seems like we're just doing stuff just to be doing ground because even with already Scream 3.
Scream 3.
They're like we're just doing stuff just to be doing stuff. And this movie than all of the rest of the movies. It's definitely way more slapstick than anything. Ghostface as a whole feels way less threatening because of all the convoluted reasoning and motives behind it. Scream 3 is definitely a dud right in the middle of the franchise, and yeah, it's the worst of the series. Alright, now we're talking about the Evil Dead franchise. Not overly the big.
Alright, we're gonna skip this one too. I'm not familiar with this.
Work in its favor. So the deaths just look extremely artificial. The plot is really thin and underdeveloped, right along with the characters. We don't care about them not one bit. It's a predictable structure and it lacks the emotional stakes of the movie. I mean, even with the most recent one, Final Destination Bloodlines, they made
I don't know too much about that either, but
pretty minimal impact to the Conjuring universe overall in the story.
I don't even know.
Franchise that we're talking about is the Sleepaway Camp franchise, and the worst movie in that franchise is Sleepaway Camp for the Survivor. I don't even ultimately really need to explain why this one's the worst, but just when you consider what we got in 1, 2, and 3, and even though changed to Pamela Springsteen in the second one and the third one, she did a fantastic job, so it didn't even necessarily make you miss the fact that it wasn't Felissa Rose, from the first one. So great kills, great pacing, it's just really enjoyable popcorn, fun slasher movies that you can just throw on at any time. And this movie just was a cheap version of everything. And I mean, cheap.
Alright, that was the worst movies in every major horror franchise. There was some nice, characters like Jason, Freddy. Freddy was like the biggest one I've known when I was younger. But I just wanted to react to something, a little different. You guys tell me what you guys want to see next in the comments down below. I got more videos coming. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment. That was the worst movies in every major horror franchise. That was the worst movies in every major horror franchise. But yeah, like I said, tell me what you guys want to see next in the comments down below. I was actually supposed to say the title again before I say the outro, but it's fine. Subscribe, like, comment, tell me what you guys want to see next, and yeah, you're out.